What's up, family? Glad to be back here today on the 10% Happier Self-Care Journey. I am your host, Aaron Hill. That's how I feel like I want to start introducing. It just sounds like I should go in that direction. I'm just messing, right? So, I'm excited about today's lesson because it's about a word that you don't hear as much. I think I've heard of this word in the past, but I can't say honestly that I knew the definition of it until now. And what is that word? So that word is interoception. Interoception. And so today's session is about interoception and meditation. So of course, what makes the most sense would be starting off with what the hell does interoception mean? And so I'm going to do that. And while I'm doing that, one way that you can follow along with what I'm saying is I just pasted the notes for today in the chat. And the definition is right there in the notes, as well as everything else that I'll be talking about for this session. So interoception and meditation. Let's talk about what it is. Interoception is a sense that provides information about the internal condition of our body, how our body is feeling on the inside. Interoception allows us to experience many body sensations, such as a growling stomach, dry mouth, tense muscles, or a racing heart. So it's a sense that provides information about the internal condition of our body. Hey Jan, hey Marianne, thank y'all so much. So I'll show you. So I don't know if you all saw it. Tell me if you saw it. Drop a line. So Jan and Marianne, drop a line and let me know if you saw this. The other day I put it on Facebook. I said, natural serendipity plus a bit of intention equals life. Natural serendipity plus a bit of intention equals life. And Jan and Marianne, you all just demonstrated that in a moment, in a particular way, because you're hanging out with me. Both of you all, your last names are Green, and you happen to be the first two people here. So thanks to my Green family for watching. Marianne, thanks so much. Rodney, I appreciate you, man. How are you doing? How's the family? Okay, so interoception is a sense that provides information about the internal condition of our body, how our body is feeling on the inside. So it's like self-awareness about self-awareness. It's like being aware. It's like being in your body, but then also being aware of your body at the same time. Hey, Teresa, thanks so much for hanging out. Okay, that's a more straightforward definition. This is the Wikipedia definition. And again, don't forget that you can read all of this in the notes. Okay. So the Wikipedia definition is a little bit more technical, has a bit more big words in it, that kind of stuff. Interoception is contemporarily defined as the sense of the internal state of the body. This can be both conscious and non-conscious. It encompasses the brain's process of integrating signals relayed from the body into specific sub-regions, like the brainstem, thalamus, insula, soma. This is a word I don't know how to pronounce. Somatosensory. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do while we're doing this. Let me act like I live in a Google world so that I can understand how to pronounce this word. And in anterior cingulate cortex. This is all the places where it's relayed to. These signals are relayed, allowing for a nuanced representation of the physiological state of the body. This is important for maintaining homeostatic conditions in the body and potentially aiding in self-awareness. What's up, Phil? Thanks for hanging out. Okay. So if you all didn't see it, I did, for my word a day, 2 days ago, I did interoception, where I talked about this in detail. If you get a chance, check it out. It's on my YouTube channel, Aaron Hill TV, or you can check it out here on Facebook. And I talked about how, when it says it encompasses the brain's process of integrating signals relayed from the body into specific subregions, and then it named those subregions. The analogy that came to mind, or the picture that came to mind, was like if you are at, say, a local store like a Walmart or a Target or something like that, right? You have the store, and then you go inside, you have the store, and you have the building and that kind of thing. So there's a macro. If you eventually get to like one of the back offices, you'll find someone like my son Jordan, who is a security officer and will be in a room with television screens that are all showing the building as well, but in a space that's, as small as like a little room. And it'll be the whole picture of the building and the different parts, and he or she will be able to watch and look at and see the macro of the building from this small place. And I relate that to what this is. It's almost like you have your body, and then you have these places in the brain where these signals are sent to these places to give your body a picture of your body. And so interoception is that security guard. Interoception is that ability to be in your body and also at the same time be aware of what's going on with your body. And it's funny even coming across this word now, because I thought about this analogy years ago when I was studying self-awareness through spirituality and those kind of things and the different philosophies. And I got to a point when I started studying New Thought, spirituality, as well as Eastern metaphysics and Eastern spirituality, like Hinduism and Buddhism and these kind of things, that there was this sense of having a body outside of the body to examine the body, So instead of the thing I like about this, to get to the real practical place, the thing I like about this is, instead of if you're experiencing an emotion, let's just use a negative emotion. This works for positive emotions too. But let's just say you're experiencing an emotion of, say, like anger or frustration, right? It can, depending on the level of it, it can encompass your whole body. It can really overtake your whole body. And you could be so much in that feeling that it overtakes you and you can't think outside of that. You can't think rationally. You can't make a different decision. You're very impulsive. And that's because at that point, you are identifying as your emotion. But interoception, as we'll see as we continue to learn and practice it, it helps you to, instead of being that emotion, you are like looking at yourself having that emotion, or looking at where it's showing up, and allows you to detach enough to still be at peace, still like keep your composure, not be impulsive, not be overtaken, not have a huge buildup of anxiety and depression and stress. So that's how I see it. It's like the security guard in the office watching the television screens. He or she is actually looking at the entire building or the entire campus or whatever it is. Even though they're looking at it in a small space, they can monitor it. They can see things before it happens, and they have a macro view of things in a very micro setting. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to practice today, and we're going to practice together, is there's a practice that's built around this kind of interoception thing to like help you to unpack it and identify it and start to, be in the midst of it. And we're going to use the phrases feel in, feel out, and feel rest. So this is just a little sidebar for those that are just kind of keeping up with my journey or haven't heard about this. This is from the 10 Happier app, which is a meditation app that has a bunch of different courses by different authors in it. And so this is the session that I was going through today, and where they practiced this. I forgot the person that they said that developed this particular practice, but I'll go back and figure out the name. Oh, one more thing though, I just forgot about as far as interoception that I want to mention. So I put it up on my Facebook page a few minutes ago. it's an article. I said that it's a great article on interoception in children. And I want to read just the first part of this, the definition that this author wrote, because I thought it was really good. So the name of it is Interoception and Sensory Processing Issues, What You Need to Know by Amanda Morin. And this is at a glance, like an overview. Interoception is a lesser known sense that helps you understand and feel what's going on inside your body. Kids who struggle with the interoceptive sense may have trouble knowing when they feel hungry, full, hot, cold, or thirsty. Having trouble with this sense can also make self-regulation a challenge. And the reason why I wanted to read that, of course, is because it applies to kids, and it's another way of really seeing like the importance of this skill. And what you realize is that many times, kids, because they're very impulsive, because they're really enamored and distracted and even triggered by any distractions, any bells, whistles, lights, sensations they feel with their body. Like it's very over dramatic because they are highly sensitive, and all of this stuff is new to them. It's very new. They're very young. They're exploring, they're learning. So when you think about children in that regard, it is of the utmost importance for them to develop, and for us as parents to help them to develop interoception at a deep level at a young age, because this is what helps them to quote unquote behave. And I did that because, for a couple reasons. Number one, to just put an umbrella statement on all the things that we mean when it comes to behaving, self-control, being able to communicate, being able to speak up, not acting out, or whatever we feel. I also did that because a lot of times we classify behavior that we see as negative or not beneficial as either unnatural, or like we just don't understand it, right? When the real deal is, it's normal, and I keep looking this way because there's a kid on the screen, and in fact, let me see if I can show you a quick picture of what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at this kid right here. I'm looking at her touch her leg. I'm thinking about what she might be thinking right now. She's outside on the playground. You can see in the background there's some other kids playing, and you see her rubbing her leg. So knowing kids, it's probably a lot of things going on in her mind right now. Number one, she's excited, more than likely, because she's playing, and she probably is, looking forward to getting back to playing or continuing to play. She's feeling something in her leg, right? But the playing thing is still in her mind because it continues. It never stops with the kid. But it's something on her leg. She's feeling it, it's probably warm outside. She's probably thinking about all the fun she's having or wants to have. Like, it's probably a million different things going on in her mind. And therefore, those million things can really affect her behavior, in ways that as parents or supervisors that we might laugh at, think is positive, appreciate, and in other ways where we might think that, we need to get control of her or help her, whatever it is. Interoception, though, allows her to not be so caught up in all of these various experiences, but to be able to have like a mental picture in her mind of what's going on, and to be able to understand it in a different way, so that we probably would naturally see her more calm, enjoying herself, still in the fullness of the experience, but with a very keen sense of self-awareness. And that is what this is all about. So that's why I wanted to read this, because like I said, kids who struggle with this, they may have trouble knowing when they feel hungry, full, hot, cold, thirsty, other sensations, because they don't know what it is. It's just like, what is this? This is happening. And having trouble with this sense can also make self-regulation a challenge. And I like that too, because when you are trying to settle a child down, again, if they're so caught up in the extrasensory, then they're just overwhelmed by it. It takes the cake, But if they can step out of themselves and see themselves, or if they can see themselves, they can see their experiences as their experiences and not who they are, it helps them to self-regulate. So, sorry for being so long-winded on that, but, I just really feel like this thing is deep and it's fun and it's so simple, but yet all of us need to focus on this. So feel in, feel out, feel rest. These are three phrases that we're going to use to be able to monitor what's going on in our body and to basically be that security guard, checking on the different locations to see what's going on. Being able to identify it without identifying with it. I think I might even put that up as a quote, because that's the deal. You want to identify it without identifying with it. So when you locate a feeling or emotion internally, and it's correlating manifestation in the body, when you feel that, when you locate that, you want to label it as feel in. That's what we're going to label it as, feel in. It's something that's going on internally. It has to do with our emotions. It has to do with things like, I'm triggered right now and I'm upset right now about something that happened earlier. I'm irritated by the fact that, and this was something that happened to me earlier, in fact, when I put it into practice. I wasn't irritated, but it caught my attention. In my house, there was a television being played, and it was a bit loud, and it was kind of disturbing my meditation. Or at least I had to take note of it to realize, like, oh, that could disturb me, So the feeling that I got from that, and I also like to do this too, because I like people to know that this isn't just about negativity. To be honest, if you want to remain at a place of peace, you need to keep the overwhelming positive things and the overwhelming negative things in. You don't need to be like swayed by either one. You need to be like dead center, at peace, namaste, like all these places that we try to find as far as center, right? That's where you want to be. And it was interesting because about 5 to 7 years ago, I had a little daydream that when I was dealing with a lot of this stuff and just learning about it and learning about myself, and I was like, wow, I'm a very, I tend to be a very even-keeled and at peace person. I also tend to be very nonchalant, and a lot of my friends say it's really funny. I can have some exciting news about myself, whether it be something financial or something as far as health. Like, I can have some exciting news, and I'll speak about it like this, like, So, I got that $1 million today, like, and that was pretty cool. Like, I'm pretty excited about that. Whereas though most people may be jumping up and down. Like, that's just who I am. But I noticed like a positive quality about that over the years, and it really makes sense to me as far as this interoception interoception, because like I would always remain at this place of peace, even if there was something good or something bad to happen. And I noticed that it allowed me peace, like deeply in my life, because there is something with getting overwhelmingly overjoyed about something good. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's a great thing. You should always celebrate the goods in life. The problem is when you get to the point where you become so attached to it that you can't deal with the other side of the inevitable. That is life, which is that thing is temporary. At some point, it'll be gone. At some point, it won't exist anymore. At some point, you won't have it anymore. That things come and go, or that, or if you go through something of the opposite sort, like it's deeply devastating because you became too attached actually to the positive part. And it's an interesting thing because we don't talk about that. We're so used to dealing with, don't let the negative get you down. You're too blessed to be stressed, don't let that, and that's like, it's a positive thing. We need that. But we don't talk as much about not being overwhelmingly attached to the outstanding, amazing things too. And I think that's real important to talk about. So feel in. This is about feeling all the emotions in. When you're noticing a feeling generated by physical sensations like pain, discomfort, or temperatures like hot or cold, or external sounds, like how I experienced earlier, or smells, etc., label that as feel out. And that actually was what I labeled my experience as earlier. It was feel out. because these things were external. You're just noting, you're just like classifying everything that you experience, which allows you to detach from it and therefore have a different sense of peace and homeostasis around it, you know. And then when you're completely neutral and aren't being affected by any internal or external sensations and are at ease, label that feeling as feel rest. Noting and labeling our emotions decreases our stress response and is a form of emotion regulation visible in the brain, visible in that command center, that control center. And then this is the last part, and then we'll do a little bit of practice. Instead of saying, I am blank, I am frustrated, I am upset, I am mad, and again, we'll throw the good ones. I am happy, I am like ecstatic, I am anxious, you know, even because of a good thing. Instead of saying I am that, say I feel angry, I feel happy, I feel overwhelmed, I feel overjoyed. And then, or say this is the feeling of happiness, this is the feeling of. So instead of saying I am blank, saying I feel blank helps to disassociate oneself or to not identify as the emotion itself. Then, and this is something that I added on to it as I heard them speak about this, then follow this statement with identifying if and where it manifests in your body. You know, every feeling has a manifestation in the body. You know, you might feel a tingling, you might feel a pain, you might feel different things. So locating that, again, allows you to detach twice. You experience and understand the experience or the emotion, and instead of saying I am that, you say I feel that, and then you have that, and then you check on how it shows up in your body, and then you have those two things, and then that allows you to better deal with it. So that's interoception in a nutshell. Drop your thoughts. I didn't get a chance to, right now ask any questions. In fact, let me go back, read a few comments, and then we'll finish out. Thank you again, everybody, for hanging out. I really, really deeply appreciate you. Philip, appreciate it, man. So Philip says, per our conversation, we had a great gig the other day, today, and if you all want to check that out, look on my page for Saturday Trio with Will Spence and Phil Thomas. Phil says, per our conversation Saturday, you may want to consider getting a certification in counseling and be a musician/counselor. Phil, I deeply, deeply appreciate you for that, man. This is something that I have really been thinking a lot about, and I've been trying to figure out what my approach would be. And so that's why I'm doing these videos. I'm learning every day. I have apparel coming out, y'all. I have apparel coming out. So see this shirt right here, right? Okay, I wear a lot of these kind of shirts, right? These are my workout shirts. I wear them day in and day out as my apparel, like it's a part of my flow. So because of that, what I'm going to start doing is this year, I'm going to start having some of my quotes and my sayings and, some of my favorite things that I've created on shirts that you'll be able to buy, on workout shirts like this and on t-shirts, because those are like two of the main things that I wear. And so look out for that. And what made me think about that was this saying that is going to be one of the shirts that I do immediately. It's my acronym AIS, always in school, right? And so based off of what Phil is saying, like that's how I feel. I'm always in school. So what I'm trying to do is I'm learning a new skill in life. I'm applying it to my life, and I'm bringing it every day to the people in order to share and teach someone else and keep the process going. And because of that, and I'm deeply into psychology, so because of that, I have really considered becoming a counselor. Someone talked to me about art therapy, which I had never heard of before. So I'm trying to figure out what my approach is going to be when it comes to actual certification. And in the meantime, I'm just going to be being a counselor this way. Just continue to share, continue to build my personal brand, where I'm creating educational resources every day, where I'm talking to people, helping people, and sharing. So thanks, Phil. I really appreciate that. Darren, thanks for hanging out. Kyra, thanks for hanging out. My beautiful sister. Jewel Coleman, Marcus Johnson. Marianne says, I enjoyed it. Tell me what you enjoyed, Marianne. I know I got a couple things kind of swirling around. So let me know what you're mentioning. Okay, so now we come to the part where I'm going to do a bit of a practice in order to practice. Thank you, Marianne. In order to practice what we're saying here for myself and to lead as well, to share with others and to lead you in that practice. So one of the things that I'm really big on, it's a part of my brand, so to speak, of meditation and mindfulness, is the 30-second meditation technique. And all that is 3 deep breaths and 10 seconds of mindfulness. Just being in that place, that non-judgmental place of your experience or of others, and just taking it in. Being with what you feel. Hey, Eunice, thanks for hanging out. So that is where we're going with this. Now, you can do this practice at any given time, any place. Like Janet Jackson says, I don't care who's around. It's one of my favorite tunes, by the way. You can do this anytime, any place. I don't care who's around. And I say that because my goal is to get everybody into meditation by showing that it's fully accessible, because you don't have to have the perfect environment, with the perfect Aaron Hill music behind you. Like this song, Breath of Life, shameless plug. You can get Breath of Life on, Spotify, Apple Music, the whole nine, or my website, aaronhilltv.com. I hope you enjoy it too, by the way. But you don't have to have music. You don't have to have lighting and candles. You don't have to sit in lotus positions with your fingers. Like, all that is beautiful, and all that is icing on the cake. What all of us need and to understand is that meditation can be done at any given time. And I'm a person who, in 2014 or so, I started practicing seated meditation and this kind of like approach. But prior to then, my meditation, I knew I was meditating, I just didn't know how to explain it. Like, I was always meditating. I stayed in a state of meditation because I was always reflecting. I was always being mindful and non-judgmental. I was always separating from myself from my experience and using interoception. Like, I was always doing that. The one thing I wasn't doing, which we're getting ready to do, was I wasn't breathing deeply. But like, that's what I want people to know. All you need is 30 seconds, and you can do this anywhere. So right where you are, you can close your eyes if you are able to, if you want to, and if not, don't. We're just going to take 3 deep breaths and then do 10 seconds of mindfulness and do a little practice with this feel in, feel out. So I'm going to get comfortable. And so right now, we just want to take a moment to settle in and just be with something that's so simple, so vital, yet many times so often overlooked. And that's just a deep breath. And breathing deeply has so many benefits for us. The benefit of reducing stress, relieving anxiety, bringing more oxygen to our body, to our heart, to our mind, our brain, lungs. Like, it just really helps in a very, very deep way for our whole system, our nervous system and cardiovascular, etc. So we're just going to take 3 deep breaths, and with these breaths, we're going to hold them. We're going to take long inhales, long exhales, because this regulates the heart as well. It slows the heart rate down. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through the mouth. Let's take another deep breath in and out. And one more final deep breath in and out. As we continue with this practice, you can continue to take deep inhales and exhales, or you can just go back to the normal pace of your breathing. But we're going to take 10 more seconds just for mindfulness, which is being able to just be in this place with no judgment about how we're feeling, what anybody else is feeling, and just the fact that we're taking a few minutes to devote to our self-care. So during this few minutes of practice, we're just going to monitor the things that we sense and the things that we feel on 3 different levels. If there's any emotion that you feel, like the emotion of frustration or anxiousness, nervousness, anger, fear, even the good emotions like giddiness from being happy, or even overwhelmed from excitement, anxiousness. We're going to label those feelings as feel in, because we're feeling them inwardly. So just take note of the feeling and just say silently to yourself, feel in. If there's any feelings or sensations that you experience that come from your outward experience, they come from the senses, like touch or smell, hearing, we're going to label these as feel out. If there's any distraction, like external noises, if there's any pain or discomfort in your body, if there's excitement that you're feeling as goosebumps or, anything like that. If the temperature is warm or hot or cold, anything that you feel that has to do with your external 5 senses, we're going to label that as feel out. And then lastly, any experiences or the experience of feeling completely at ease. If you feel totally in a place of homeostasis and at ease, where you aren't being pulled by external sensations or internal emotions, and you just at a place of serenity, a place of peace, a place of homeostasis, ease or rest, we're going to label that as feel rest. So as you go throughout your experience, the daily ins and outs of your experiences, all the sensations, all the distractions, all the things that really have your mood swinging and have your mind constantly occupied with different things. Take this practice of interoception and use it to scan through those emotions and sensations and label them as feel in, feel out, and feel rest. And And so we're just going to close out this practice by taking 3 deep breaths. So take a deep breath in and out. Take a deep breath in and out. And one more final deep breath in and out. Ready, you can come back and join the stream of consciousness and the live stream if you're here on Facebook Live. Thank you all for taking part in that if you did. And the thing that you can do, you can always come back to that. You can come back to this video. I'm going to actually do all these practices as guided meditations and music in these presentations where you can download on Spotify and Apple Music and whatever streaming service of your choice, or whatever streaming service that you use. If you use YouTube, it'll be there. So know that these are all going to be congregating in those different places. And I've already started. If you get a chance, check out my first meditation. This is a part of it, in fact, is a meditation called Breathe Deeply, which features this music, Breath of Life, with a guided meditation on the top, similarly to what we just did. And so I'm going to put all these in those kind of expressions. So definitely look out for that. Drop a line if you have any questions. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me for this session today. I really, really appreciate you. If you have any feedback for me, please drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed the music, go check out Breath of Life everywhere online. Just type in Breath of Life Aaron Hill. And then finally, if you enjoy this content that I do and you want to help me to continue to make content like this, you can support me by looking at the information in the comment section of this video or the description, depending on where you're watching it. So that's about it. Let me know if this was helpful to you. And as always, peace and be well. Take care.